Hey guys, it is Saturday, October 27th. Today is hands-on creativity at my local plaza. This year I opted not to sign up for any of the workshops since they were all repeats from years prior. But we're going to head on over, see what demos are out, and see what new products art supply manufacturers are going to have for 2018, 2019, and beyond. So why don't you guys join me at my local Nashville plaza. Looks like they've got a good crowd, nice full parking lots. Let's go ahead and head on inside. So there are loads of demonstrations and different art suppliers here doing demonstrations, having free samples. A lot of the different Nashville sort of community groups are out here, like the Calligraphers Guild, the Tennessee Watercolor Society's out here. You also have reps from like Daniel Smith and Liquitex out here. So they got a lot going on in this little store. So this is the Koi Studio set. It is their big new, this one is what, the 72 color set, and it looks like it's got the metallics in it. Would you hold this for a second? So I've been interested in this set, but I mostly just wanted to see what was actually in the set since I have several Koi products. So it comes in this nice large case with slides. That's cool, so that way it doesn't just pop open. Whoa, loads of mixing surfaces. And then it comes with 2 water brushes, the neons as well as some of the metallics. And then just a bunch of Koi colors, as well as 2 scrubbers for your water brushes. And as you can see, Koi has started labeling their color chiclets. Pretty cool. I really like the case design. If you're in the Nashville area, they also have lots of the Koi mini sets. And the review hasn't gone live yet, but I've had a chance to review them, and I love these watercolors. They also have a lovely selection of just Koi watercolors, core watercolors in general. So we just finished up at Hands-On Creativity at our local plaza. Ended up picking up some goodies because that's always what I do. Had a really lovely chat with the lady at the Core/Liquitex table. She sent me away with some of their sample grounds, so hopefully at some point I will show you those in the future. And I had a really good conversation with the guy at Daniel Smith. I wanted to talk to him about the upcoming travel sets. Those of you who read Doodle Wash are probably familiar and super excited about them. So I don't want to get into the TLDR too much about them. You should definitely check out what Doodle Wash has to say, and I'll link that for you guys. But basically, Daniel Smith is releasing half pan sets that are hand poured by employees of the company. They are triple filled, so they fill it, they let it dry, they fill it, they let it dry, they fill it, they let it dry. Talking to the representative today, and he actually gave me a card so I can tell you who I spoke to. Scott Stevenson. Mr. Scott Stevenson was generous enough to talk to me and help fill me in. So they are coming out to our local Pla Za Art in 2 weeks, so I'm really excited. I need to save my money for that. There's various sets, but I think I'm going to get the ultimate mixing set. I love Daniel Smith watercolors. They're really awesome, so you know, rather than get like a small set and then regret not getting the big set, I'm just going to get the big set. These have been specially formulated, so they're not just the watercolors from tubes, but they're very similar. They are, sorry, trying to get home. They are specially formulated so that they're going to be rewettable, reworkable. So some colors that Daniel Smith makes are only really intended to work from tube. In fact, me and Mr. Stevenson were talking about Mayan blue and how Mayan blue is actually indigo mixed into a clay and then made into a paint. So it's a specific type of paint, and the clay itself is not particularly rewettable. So Mayan blue really works best from a tube. But this travel set they're developing, it's going to be all pigments that are rewettable, that are reworkable, that are designed to reactivate when you add water. And I apologize, I'm keeping an eye on traffic, even though I'm not the one driving. So all of the pigments selected are pigments that are designed to be reworked from a dry state. And they're changing the formulation slightly so that they do reactivate quicker, because with some of the Daniel Smith colors, if you dry them out, as you guys know, you have to give them a really long lead time for them to kind of soak up the water and reactivate. And these have been specially designed so that's not an issue. So I'm really excited about that. Oh, and I took some photos for you guys. I'm going to show you guys following this so you know what I'm talking about. There's no spare room in the palettes. So with the Ultimate set, you get 2 palettes. One is an empty palette that you can fill with the colors you enjoy using. The other is just chock full of Daniel Smith. There's no extra room. There's no mixing surfaces. It doesn't come with a brush. It's just the paints. And I really love that, because a lot of the travel sets I've seen, like the Sakura Koi or even the core mixing set, often they'll come with like really crappy brushes, and they'll come with sponges you're not going to use, and this is just the paints. And I really like it because it keeps the form factor really slim. Actually, the core set isn't guilty of that, but some other sets like that are guilty of that. It's really slim. I could fit it into a woman's jeans pocket, which is, you guys know how tiny that is. So I hope you guys will enjoy these photos that I have to share with you guys for them, and I look forward to sharing this set with you guys in the near future. So next, when I get home, I'm going to do a quick haul of the things I picked up while at Hands-On Creativity. All right, so I have returned from Plaza. Hope you guys are ready to check out the goodies that I picked up. So I didn't really do too much shopping this year since I'm on a bit of a diet, and I didn't do any of the workshops this year, although they were open and available. And the workshops are usually where you can get a lot of really cool samples. However, I did get a few interesting things. So over here are the samples, and they pretty much all came from the core table because that's where I spent the majority of my time. And they sent me away with a core dot sheet that also, sorry about that, a core dot sheet that also includes a sample piece of watercolor paper, as well as a sample piece of watercolor ground that had been applied to some chipboard with an explanation on the back, and a piece of watercolor paper that I kind of noodled on so I can kind of give you guys a comparison. They also sent me away with 3 little test tubes of their watercolor ground. And I have some Daniel Smith watercolor ground as well, so it'll be interesting to someday compare them. They sent me with the regular watercolor ground, the cold press ground, and then the light dimensional ground, which can be really used to kind of build up your surface and get kind of a 3-dimensional surface area. While I was at the core table, they had me playing with some silver velvet touch, and these are synthetic brushes, but these are some of the nicest synthetic brushes I've ever seen. They really kind of handled like you know, sort of like a firm squirrel brush. So I look forward to reviewing these for you guys, or at least exploring them a little bit more on this channel. I've never done direct brush reviews on this channel, partially because they're such a matter of taste and such a matter of what you're looking for, that what works for me might not work for you. But I'm always happy to share a brush that I like. I also picked up a small pad of the Strathmore Tone Tan Mixed Media paper. I got a sampler pack of the tan and gray last year and I really liked it. And I look forward to playing with this and the Strathmore Artigan paper I picked up recently. And I grabbed a small handbook field watercolor journal. This uses the fluid watercolor paper on the inside, and I like painting on fluid watercolor paper, so I thought this would be good for some small watercolor sketches. And I'm always interested in exploring new spiral bound watercolor books, since that's what I use. I picked up a tube of Core Hooker's Green, since I needed a nice mid-green in my Hooker set. I picked up some Prismacolor. These are their, they're just basically Prismacolor cores in kind of a pastel format. I forget what they're called. New Pastels, I believe. I picked these up because I'm doing a figure drawing demonstration in my Making Comics and Zine class, and I couldn't find China markers at Pla Za, and I needed something that could deliver large, colorful, broad strokes so that my students can see what I'm doing. And then finally, I picked up some mini watercolor palettes that I'm going to gut and replace with better watercolor. Since some of my students have expressed an interest in using watercolor, I wanted to be able to supply them with a little sampler. And yeah, dot cards would work, but I wanted it to be enough that they could complete their project. And that's not something I normally should do. I'm not really required to provide additional materials, but I do enjoy sharing what I have when I can. So my final total was $63.53. Pla Za had a 40% discount, but I'm not actually seeing that 40% discount here. I'm really kind of seeing like the MSRP versus what I paid. So I don't know what that is about. I'm not really sure. I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get better savings since the sign proclaimed 40% off. But you know, what you gonna do? Anyway, I really did enjoy my hands-on creativity experience. I wish I was feeling better because I would have had the energy to ask more questions at more tables. And I hope if you have a hands-on creativity in your area, you'll go check it out. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I see you again really soon. Bye guys!